The Supreme Court wants no part of disqualifying Trump from the ballot. The justices spent Thursday's oral arguments looking for an off-ramp from kicking the former president out of the presidential race. So it seems like they're not going to do that.
I told you 2 weeks ago this was going to be a 9-0 decision against.
Yeah, I didn't think they would, but it's strange that, when I read the Constitution, it seems like they should, but they're not going to. Does that not describe legislation from the bench?
I don't think they should.
Okay. Are they not legislating from the bench in doing so? In not doing so?
No.
I listened to some of the oral arguments, Popog. Constitution says X. We decided not to do X because of the ramifications. Sounds like they're legislating from the bench.
Not really.
No?
No. The legislation from the bench typically is a positive response to something. So, like, for example, Roe v. Wade was legislation from the bench. That was, hey, everyone has to allow abortions to happen. That was something that's superseding the laws of a given state. However, this is a reading of the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is a ramifications thing. This is, can they justify, or does the Supreme Court think that the way they're reading the Constitution justifies disqualifying Trump from the ballot? And they're saying generally no. That's what the opinion's going to be. It's not going to be anything about the ramifications in the opinion. It's all going to be a legal argument.
Okay. If you say so. From Elena Kagan, I think the question you have to confront is why single states should decide who gets to be president of the United States. That's the ramification. That's what she's discussing. She didn't say, is this in the Constitution? What does it say in the Constitution? She says, why should a single state get to decide? She's discussing ramifications.
Isn't Kagan one of the liberal justices?
Yes.
Yeah. So
she's not being an originalist here.
She's making excuses for why she's about to rule in favor of.
So she's not being an originalist.
No, she's giving a soundbite.
Okay. Well, this is just one of the things that she said while she was up there. She's discussing it. Kagan is not an originalist. I agree. Popok, she's not. She never has been. I don't think she was. But what I'm suggesting is originalism when it benefits us and not originalism when it doesn't. That's vibes based as usual. All politics is feelings, and we just vibe. We just choose when we want to be originalists, when we don't.
I disagree.
But it seems to me like that's what we're doing. Is that not what we're doing?
No, I don't think there is a good argument for removing Trump from the ballot. I just don't.
I read that 14th Amendment, and it seems like it applies to him. Is there a reason it doesn't apply to him? Is there a constitutional reason it doesn't apply to him? I don't think there is. And these people aren't discussing it.
Well, they are, though. That's what the whole the sound bites that have been provided from this article are not the arguments that are being made in court. Like, this is not.
This is Justice Samuel Alito said while on the bench, we have been told that what if Colorado did there is sustained, other states are going to retaliate, and they're going to potentially exclude other candidate from the ballot. He's talking ramifications. He's not discussing what's in the thing. He's saying, hey, what is going to happen after we make the decision? After we make the decision, other states are going to retaliate.
The Supreme Court does have to worry about setting precedents, yes.
Okay, well...
But is this a situation where the precedent should be set? And I don't think it is.
Then originalism doesn't mean anything. It's a worthless word that accomplishes nothing. Because the originalism would suggest that Donald Trump is ineligible. Popog is disagreeing with me, but I read the thing, and it says this guy shouldn't be eligible. And that's originalism. Read it, apply it. The end. But now, instead of reading it and applying it, we're deciding, if we apply it, what will happen later? What will happen later is someone else will retaliate, so we can't apply it. That's not originalism. That's vibes-based. That's determining, and I don't know if they're wrong to do so. I'm not saying that they're wrong to determine that precedent like you suggested. I'm just saying it's not originalism. If the 14th Amendment would be
even just like a straight reading of the section doesn't even apply to Trump in the first place. And then there's, I'm a should person. Should Trump be able to run? Yes, is my answer. Like,
can I make a suggestion that you're probably not going to agree with?
Sure.
A should person can't be an originalist.
I have said in the chat that not in the chat, in my own disagreements channel that I'm not a hard originalist.
Okay.
No.
All right. Okay. Not a problem. I thought you were. Okay. I thought you were more towards that bent. But I don't think that you could be I don't think you can be a should person and an originalist. I think that those are two different thought trains entirely, and you can't be on both. You can only be on one train at a time, is what I'm suggesting. So it seems like they are not going to get rid of him. Popog's a hard originalist, if you know what I mean. So it seems like they're not going to accept the Colorado decision, and they are going to make it to where he is on there, which is what I kind of expected to happen. I didn't expect it to go the other way. I just think it just smells like inconsistency to me. You know, right-wing justices tell me that they're originalists and they only go by the text, and then I'm looking here right at the text and they're not agreeing with it.
Okay, I disagree with you that the text supports your argument, right? Like,
okay, for what reason? The office issue?
The officer versus office issue. We
Semantics.
talked about that before.
I think that's a semantic, nonsensical argument.
Engage in an insurrection or rebellion. You have to decide, did Trump actually engage in these things?
He says he did.
You also have to engage. You also have to decide whether previously taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States, even applies to Trump. And they actually have made this argument, and in the court system, as I understand, and there was some back and forth about that, because Trump is the only politician in memory to have not previously taken an oath to support the Constitution before becoming president.
He took the presidential oath, which I think is a pretty good one, but that doesn't have the right word specifically. Again, semantics. So we can't uphold the Constitution because he wasn't exactly an officer, and we can't uphold the Constitution because he hadn't taken an oath that said support instead of defend.
Well, that is
sounds like horseshit.
The nature of legal arguments.
Right. Then they're poorly written, filled with loopholes.
And that's fine. That's fine. This is why I'm a should person and not a originalist person.
All right.
And I still think that in terms of should Trump be allowed to run? Yes.
Yeah, go fix the law. Good luck. Who fixes the laws, Popog? The Senate, who doesn't fucking do anything. They don't do anything. If you showed the Senate a giant flaming loophole in the law, they wouldn't do anything. They'd sit completely still and they'd freeze. This is why McConnell freezes, because he doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't want to take any actions. He doesn't want to move. He doesn't want to make any waves. They're scared. They're wieners. They don't want to make things better. The one loophole they found only applies to Trump.
Yes, because every other person that runs for president has been in Congress before.
Right. So it applies to them, but not him.
So it applies to them, but not him, because he was actually just a citizen that ran for president.
And because he's never taken... That sounds like such horseshit. It really does. I mean, I recognize that it's textual, and it's a strange loophole that nobody ever thought anybody would snake their way through.
I don't think that's a loophole at all, actually.
I think it's actually... of course it is. We can't apply the law to him because he wasn't a senator before.
Well, no, I think that is exactly what the original intent was, is that it was never supposed to be this elite ruling class of people that achieved the presidency. It was always meant to be a normal citizen is supposed to be able to become the president at some point.
Mm-hmm. But we can't apply the law to him.
So Trump is actually the first one who has actually achieved that, because our system is so fucked up.
And because the system is fucked up, we cannot apply the rules and laws to him. He is immune to them because of the poorly worded system that we have.
No, that's not. No.
That's what's happening. That's what I'm seeing.
I don't agree with the idea that this is a loophole at all, actually.
I mean, you just described it. He can't be held responsible because he didn't take an oath as a senator. If he had taken an oath previously as a senator, that was what one of his lawyers was arguing. Because the man wasn't a senator, he had never taken this oath. He had never been an officer, which means had never been in. Which means this law does not apply to him because of the word officer. That's a loophole. If you're in there arguing the definition of the word officer and who is and isn't a member of an officer, then you're shooting loopholes is what you're doing.
Well, not really. Well, first of all, just to be clear, we're talking past the point because I don't believe he engaged in insurrection.
He says it was an insurrection. He said it was. He blamed it on Nancy Pelosi, but he said, yes, it's an insurrection and Nancy Pelosi did it. He's a liar.
He's a dumbass.
Yeah, he's a dumbass. Okay, great.
Trump wasn't my first pick, by the way. In case you forgot.
I know. But he's the guy we're stuck with. The way they wrote it created the oversight. Yeah, I think you're right.
And also, even though he's not my first pick, I still don't like. Even if DeSantis was still running, and DeSantis was my first pick, I still don't think Trump should have been disqualified
because it wasn't an insurrection.
Wasn't an insurrection, And then even then, because we're talking past the point, I don't think that the way that the Constitution is written applies to the Trump situation.
It's only for the Civil War. It was written for those Civil War, and it only applies to that. All right. Well, it seems to me like he did the thing that it's describing, and it was an insurrection, and the state has the right to say, hey, you did this, we don't want you on our ballot. If there's an oversight other than a scrivener's error, the court cannot fix the oversight, and they do, then they would be legislating from the bench. Right, exactly. The system is complicated. I agree. I don't think it's a great system. It's the system we have, and we could make it better if we were all smart, intelligent people making rational decisions, but we're not any of those things. We are all biased towards our side and pulling towards our side. So nothing gets done, and the Senate is scared, full of wieners. We're not people. No, we're not people. We are not people. We are simply avatars.
We are corporations.
We are corporations. We are avatars, specifically for our individual decided side. We are only sides. We are not people any longer. Oh, hi. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. The algorithm loves it when you watch it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to keep the algorithm happy, and I know you do, press the subscribe button, press the thumbs up button, leave a comment, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling, and let's all keep that algorithm happy. Thanks. Have a good day.